Transitions can make or break your entire track. First step is to go on Splice, drag as many effects as you can, and voila! You just broke your track in a worse way. Don't get me wrong, risers and sweeps are useful, but there are better ways to keep the flow of your entire track and make some smooth transitions. We have plugins like Transit or Endless Smile, but you know me, I'm gonna squeeze everything from stock devices. Just listen to the difference before and after simple reverb and delay throw. So for example, if I want to automate only the last note here, I'll need to write an automation for on and off here. But obviously we can try different variations, so let's just write automation for the last bit of this whole melody and play it in the context.
Oh my god! Wow!
Don't know about you, but it gave me a cool idea for a melody for this breakdown. But if it's still too basic for you, then say no more, I got a clever way to use an underrated stock device. Beat Repeat is a cool little device to use instead of Glitch 2 or Looperator for drum loops, but in this case, let's just use it for this rising melody I have here. Now, once you set interval to maximum, gate also to 4 bars, and then switch to gate mode and play with grid, you can basically make a build-up out of anything. But there is a little downside to this method. Once I switch mode to mix, volume knob works like a dry and wet. But you still can hear the original. Luckily, I got a fix for that. So switch it to gate once again, and the first thing you need to do is to group it by pressing Command and G. Duplicate this chain, but delete Beat Repeat out of it. So it's basically one dry chain and the second one with Beat Repeat. Now let's go to chain mode, and that basically allows us to activate or deactivate those chains in a matter of time. So let me just drag all of those here. Now if you see those light lines at the top, those are basically responsible for making dry and wet effect. Let me just drag this white line from the dry chain like that, and the Beat Repeat line like this. Once we're gonna automate this thing here, which is called chain selector, we can make dry and wet knob for ourselves. So let's activate macros, click on this marker and then map it to macro 1. Additionally, you can also map filter to the macro 1. So let me just make it really wide and then work only with the frequency. So map frequency to change selector. Once it will rise, it will basically give us those high pass effects. And as we work with macros here, you can obviously map grid to macro 2, so it will give you control over how many repeats you have. Another thing I like to do with Beat Repeat lately is to use it on vocals with delay on. So it caused this cool glitchy effect, which then I froze and flattened to make a riser like that. You can obviously hear a little bit of additional tone here, and that's due to the one of the best indie plugin releases in 2024, but also another stock device which works wonders for transitions. Alright, so we ain't gonna abuse resonators just like color-based producers do. For starters, let's just use root note, which is in my case G, and then gradually automate dry and wet knob. It's gonna be something like that. Alright, you also need to remember to tweak gain a little bit. Cool, but you can add more notes to this equation to make chord, for example. By the way, it's a shame that it doesn't have scale awareness option, and in this case, you should have learned music theory instead of using chord parks.
Yo, what?
Speaking of that, if you really enjoyed this video and learned something new, feel free to use the thanks button down below or buy me a coffee so my soul won't be ate by some bass dragons. Okay, so it gave a cool effect, so let's just maybe record that and use it later in arrangement. Maybe just use auto pan on that. And as you can see, that's how you make a smooth transition with what you already have. That's also how you release the tension, just like after your no nut breaks.
Great mood all day because you're going to be slapping my nuts.
But there is also another cool option to build it like that. I learned this trick from Jabu on Instagram, so full credit goes to him. Grab a flanger phaser, put it on your track, and then switch to double mode. Now you need to play with rate, and let's for now leave it on 4, but this will need some adjustment later. Now turn the feedback all the way up, and then automate dry and wet knob. That's gonna be our first adjustment here. Okay, but to make it work, we also need to automate time. So let me write another automation line for this and bring it down just before the drop. Automation lines for this effect need a little bit more patience than just dragging and ramping it up and down. And you know what? I have a great solution to make it easy and fast for you, but instead of showing it right now, the video that is blocking my screen will explain everything.